Here, Fnatic versus Clutch Gaming. I'm Captain Flowers, joined by Jat and Vedius, and we're already into Champ Select.
And Vedius and I were just having the conversation about Fnatic and whether or not they're going to try Garen Yuumi stuff again, or if they're going to allow Hylissang to roam around more in this game after being defeated by SKT yesterday. I think we might have our answer.
Yeah, well, it looks like they're going to continue with it. The question is, will they go for the Garen? Yes, they will. They're going to stick to what they know. They believe that one of the differences is that by going for the Rek'Sai and the early Gangplank, they didn't have options with the jungler, but now Brox is back on his fabled Lee Sin, the champion that he made a name for himself on last year at the World Championship.
And what I want to point out, because we skipped over the bans, because we jumped in and Champion Select was already going, I really like Fnatic's bans here. Rumble, Kiana, and Rakan are the three just mascot champions almost for Huni and Damonte and Vulcan, and keeping those comfort picks away from Clutch can go a long way.
All right, gents, now from Europe, we're not used to these crazy edgy picks, so is this a common pick, Bard for Vulcan?
No.
Wait, did you just make the Bard noise?
I tried. I haven't practiced it or workshopped it much, but what I was just thinking about is, okay, Yuumi isn't good at roaming. Who can take advantage of that? Squishy Chime Man, probably. He can roam around the map so much, and that's what I feel like Vulcan's going to try and do in this game. I don't even know if that's going to be a Lucian bottom lane. We've seen
exactly.
Clutch play it in
I
all
was
three
thinking
lanes.
the same, yeah. Mid and top are very still potent, powerful lanes, and we've been seeing more and more AD carries being played in that mid lane role. We'll have to wait and see. I'm looking at things like Heimerdinger still being left up and available. I wonder if that could be another answer to Garen, but with the Kayle taken off the board, Clutch perhaps not going for the same strat that SKT went for yesterday.
Right, Clutch are banning out what SKT said was the counter. Clutch clearly have to have some other idea up their sleeves about how to deal with this one. Also banning the LeBlanc out, don't want Nemesis on that. Fnatic take Vayne and GP off the table, and it's over to Clutch Gaming. They've got the jungler and support definitely locked in. The Lucian could be a triple flex. We never know where he's going to end up, and we still don't, because Tristana likes to go in solo lanes these days as well.
So obviously, Fnatic still looking for their solo picks. Yesterday, we saw both the Gangplank and the Rise. Renekton is still up and available, but you would imagine that they want a little bit more AP damage. Karma is a safe option that they could go for, and is pretty flexible in between both top and mid, and something they ran a lot during the regular season.
Yeah, and I think...
Oh, we're going back to globals, baby.
Yeah,
Let's go.
okay. And I think another big change for Fnatic that I saw many people complaining about yesterday was the fact that Broxah didn't get Lee Sin. The fact that it was taken away from him by Clit in that game. Fnatic having the Garen Yuumi, but also having Broxah on his most lethal champion, who I feel like if it was up to Broxah, he would just pick it every single game, will make them much more comfortable.
And I'm glad to see the Akali locked in here as the final pick for Fnatic. The composition was looking a little bit light on damage with Garen and Shin. Lee Sin not scaling into a huge damage threat later on, but Fnatic going to pick that assassin there for the final choice, and it's over to Clutch Gaming. What will round out this roster? What do they have planned?
Well, they have AP in the Elise, but I feel they still need some more AP damage. I'm still looking at things like Akama to being safe, but they're actually going for the Orianna here as an answer to the Akali. Early laning phase, I can see it being a pretty solid matchup, but as the game progresses, it's going to...
And one thing I immediately want to point out, something Jat just happened to notice while we were loading into the game here. A couple of interesting keystones on the side of Clutch Gaming. Phase Rush for Damonte's Orianna, and even more interesting, Hail of Blades for Vulcan's Bard. Those auto attacks are going to sting.
You normally see Electrocute from the Bard, but that's a very fast slapping Bard. If we're thinking about how he's going to be able to activate that Hail of Blades as I make Flowers spit out his water.
Fast slapping Bard. Okay.
That's what he does.
I mean, I know that Darren Drakis is a big fan of One Punch Bard, where like you build a lot of on hit, and then you just make that one slap really powerful.
rapid fire.
Yeah, things like
one?
that. Yeah. But this is definitely a bit different. I mean, we're gonna learn a lot. I'm definitely not that experienced with the Hail of Blades Bard. I would imagine that during the laning phase, I imagine that it will be quite oppressive, because you think about Lucian and Bard, their ability to just walk up and hit you. They do have a little bit of sustain as well as Whipple goes for a very early taunt into the mid lane.
You won't find Damonte with the taunt, but he bops him a couple of times with the auto attack and just gives Nemesis a little bit of extra pressure there in that very early lane. Vulcan with a nice binding onto Hilly there, finds the auto attack afterwards. But remember, this is Yuumi, so she can easily just jump onto Garen. Shouldn't really be in any real tangible danger at any point.
And we also got a lot to catch up on in terms of what happened to these teams yesterday. So both of them did start with defeats, Fnatic to SKT, Clutch to RNG. And in terms of most people stack ranking and power ranking these groups, Clutch came into it with very low expectations. Like, they're just trying to play spoiler to these teams. If there's a time where you'd want to spoil, it's the team that fell on day one. If Clutch could actually try and put Fnatic into an 0-2 hole, that would be very meaningful for Clutch.
And I think that they have the tools with their team comp to be able to do it, because one of the things that I admired about Clutch, especially during their playoffs, was how against teams that were expected to be by far and away better, they would just force a lot of fighting, a lot of skirmishing in the early to mid game. And the reason why I think they were able to take Team Liquid all the way to 5 games in that semifinal was because of players like Lyra and his ability to find a lot of these ganks.
Brox is going for the play here in the mid lane, forces the flash out of Damonte. Nice job there, making sure that enemy mid laner no longer has that summoner for 5 minutes.
Yeah, and you can already see Broxa moving towards the river now that Damonte is flashless. But because of the top lane pressure Huni has, push. And Vedius, also thinking about Fnatic's point of view, it's very important that they bounce back today in a big way, falling to SKT, having RNG up as well that they haven't yet faced in this group.
Yeah, and I think that for Fnatic, one of the players that I was looking at coming into the tournament, someone I put on my expected top 20 list, is Hylissang, because he's one of the best roaming supports and playmaking supports that we have in the league. And while he does a lot of damage,
that's a kill.
That is a kill.
Outside, Vulcan is down, and first blood goes to Hilly.
So I wasn't expecting that, I'll be honest. But Fnatic finding a 2v2 kill in the bot lane.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that was.
Wow.
Flash Q, baby.
So I'm curious as to what even happened earlier on the lane, or unless Bard is just that squishy that they can just go for that all in, because it looked like he actually, at the beginning of the play, lost a decent amount of health from the Yuumi poke.
Yeah, Bard is very squishy, but we'll also have to get a replay of that to see if they've taken any poke, because the flash engage from Garen does mean Vulcan isn't able to flash away. Low health, low mana in turret. You need to know actually that Garen has that kill threat in lane and back up, so I think that's just a big misplay by Vulcan. And good by Reckless to see it and flash on.
Yeah, Reckless and Hylissang make the play happen down there, and for Garen and Yuumi, that's just easy money there over to the side of the Yuumi. And normally you would think, oh no, the quotations support got the kill. That's not ideal, but we've seen the kind of damage these Yuumis can put out in the team fights later on.
You can see Brox is setting up for the play.
Oh, Vulcan, he's dead again for sure here. Flashes away, but the damage is going to follow after him. The Prowling projectile chases as well. Vulcan does manage to escape that one thanks to the flash. Top side now, it's Lyra coming up to help Huni. Whippo wants to get himself away from this one. TP's going to be coming in from both sides. Fnatic will arrive a little bit earlier, but it's Nemesis showing up only to find himself in a 1 versus 3. Damonte, Huni, and Lyra looking to finish this one off. Nemesis trying to run away. Flash out from Huni to keep himself alive. Nemesis will also escape.
So I feel that this was very unfortunate for Bwipo, because Broxa paths towards bot side of the map when there is a huge wave stacking on the top side. So Bwipo ends up in this situation where the wave could get in a very awkward spot for him, or he's forced to push it out. That means he ends up overextending, and Clutch find a successful gank. Good play from Lyra to punish Bwipo on the top side.
And that also is one of Bwipo's tendencies from the regular season. He has a ton of isolated deaths, because when he needs to play weak side, sometimes he's not willing to forego too many CS, already being down CS in this lane. And while the teleport did come through to attempt to save him, the fact that it's matched means Nemesis has to back away.
Nemesis does almost get a kill onto Huni here, and if he wanted to commit the flash, he could have looked for it, but I think he recognized, you know what, if I commit to this, I'm going to die. I think it's better off if I just stay alive and I catch the wave top.
Broxa clearing out the bottom side of the jungle now. We'll see if he finds any opportunity to make something happen here on this bottom lane. You can see that despite the fact that Reckless and Hylissang were able to get themselves that first kill, it's a massive CS lead for Cody Sun and Vulcan over the Garen Yuumi right now. But of course, many of that will be caught up here once this minion wave does go down. Plenty of creeps for Fnatic to pick up as the The gold is still relatively even between these squads. It's Clutch Gaming going after the Scuttle Crab and that early Ocean.
Brox is going to look to steal. Nemesis is also 6, so there's a chance we'd see a fight, even if Clutch is all here first.
Clutch is staying towards it, but Nemesis is going in. He drops down the Shroud, and Bwipo will be the one to pop Vulcan. Over the wall goes Clutch Gaming to try to get themselves away. It's one dead on the side of Clutch. Cocoon's able to find its mark onto Broxa. Sonic Wave shot out, but will not hit anyone here. Huni also making his way down into this skirmish now. Reckless also walking up from the bottom side. It's Fnatic in the pit. They have the man advantage. It's 5v4. Vulcan is alive. He's making his way down here, but he's not in range quite yet. Clutch Gaming, they're trying to make Fnatic consider the idea of the steal, trying to buy just a little bit more time. Nice CC coming down. Bwipo gonna be taking a little bit of damage there. Drake down to 1,000. Broxa looking to smite it. He's got the secure, but Bwipo's gonna be taken low. Lyra's taken lower. Damage coming through. Bwipo going down. Fnatic are on the run.
Reckless no flash.
Gaming still looking to find the damage. Reckless looks to go in. There's nowhere else to go. He's going down. Huni takes the kill.
Such an awkward looking fight as Fnatic slowly tap down the Ocean Drake and Demonte walks towards the fight. Yet, Broxa does secure the early Ocean, which will help their laning phase from here on out. But the fact that Huni has that second kill could be very big. Just watching this one more time, Fnatic has 5 people, but their engaged tools are down. Nemesis ult is down, Broxa's not 6 yet, and Bwipo doesn't feel confident flash E-ing in. So it was really just Fnatic trying to make the call to kill Drake and retreat, yet Reckless doesn't have flash, so he's never going to be able to retreat. Just a very strange play.
Yeah, and I think that you hit the nail on the head. Awkward is the best way to describe this fight, because at the beginning, Fnatic demonstrated the dive power of this comp. You throw the Shroud down on the Akali, Shen ultimate, you don't expect it. The Bard gets immediately killed, but I think their target was the Orianna. If they had taken Demonte out of the fight, they would have been a lot more confident setting up for that play, but because the entire damage was still there, they could still throw out this poke, and Bard even had enough time to return to the fight. Fnatic never really had the ability to secure this Drake convincingly, and now they actually find themselves with a bit of a gold deficit.
And now it's Vulcan on the roams into the top side. Back to what you said, Jad. How do you answer the Yuumi Garen strategy where Yuumi is attached to this guy literally? Well, you pick something that can roam, try to make something happen elsewhere on the map, but now it is going to be a 2 versus 2. Huni tries to get himself away with a rocket jump. Looks like he'll be still alive for now. Fnatic will continue trying to defend here. Cody Sun's made his way up into the top side now. Clutch Gaming have decided to bring the bottom lane into the top side for a serious push.
Not just the bot lane, look at the minimap. You can see that Lyra is making his way up towards the top lane as well. They're going to try and threaten a dive. Can they thin the wave out enough before he gets it?
Lyra still clearing his way through. That control ward has to drop first. Bwipo's going to continue taking just a little bit of damage. A chip here, a poke there, as Lyra continues to crawl through these brushes, making sure he's clearing out the vision as he goes. Lyra and Vulcan wanting to make some kind of a move here. Broxa looking to continue to try to defend his ally. A nice denial on the taunt, and Bwipo is done. Clutch Gaming find themselves a kill. They'll find some plates. And gentlemen, we're just about 10 minutes into the game, and Clutch Gaming has everyone near the Rift Herald pit.
And I love how Clutch are playing this game right now. They recognize that they can't do a lot on the bot side of the map, so why not just use our double AD carries in the top lane to siege? Now Fnatic want to try and answer. The teleport's coming through. Shen ulti is up.
Fnatic ready to fight for this. Reckless and Hylissang after Cody's son. Cody's got the flash, but is there even a reason to use it? You are dead. Reckless brings down the sword of justice. Brox is stunned up into the wall. He's going down next. Clutch Gaming respond 1 for 1. Rift Herald at half HP, but Shelly has lost her patience.
It might have to do with the fact that Fnatic are all melee champions, as Bwipo gets jumped on.
And that CC.
What is Bwipo doing? We've seen multiple times so far this game just a lack of respect towards his opposition. That dive up towards topside, he should have seen that coming. He should have backed off with Broxa. He dies. He face checks a brush where his jungler just died, and he dies as well. Clutch are doing a great job of shutting down the top laner for Fnatic.
And they're getting gold on key members. Huni being 203 on this Tristana when they're able to roam up and give him a bunch of plates can make him so threatening in the later game. And if he's able to kind of peel himself off of all of these melee champions, it could be something Fnatic can't deal with. So yes, Fnatic has been able to kind of isolate Cody Sun off in a few situations where Reckless and Hylissang can flash on someone. But by and large, 4 people trying to run to the Trist who has not only Buster Shot but also Rocket Jump means Clutch could be in a very good position if they can keep this up, and this Rift Herald fight's going to be huge.
Rift Herald early on for Clutch Gaming, pretty much the most iconic play of the North American squad here. They'll take that one down for themselves, and that could very easily be first turret here too. This is the #1 team in the LCS for taking first turret. We'll see if they can do that again here this game. That top lane turret with only 1 plate remaining. Still 2 minutes to get plate money out of that Herald.
And I'm so happy to see this play from Clutch because I feel like this is what allowed them to challenge the top teams in North America. Their ability to play fast, play effectively in the early game. And sure, while they may have lost a couple of members, a couple of small misplays, they're constantly keeping the pressure up, looking for these picks. And now with the Herald, they can keep the momentum in their favor.
Lyra with some nice CC, the burst down onto Nemesis. Not quite fast enough from Demonte to get the ball onto Lyra to make a shockwave play happen, but they're still going to force the Fnatic mid laner back. They're still going to summon Shelly up in the mid lane, and they're still going to collect about 3 plates worth of gold.
Yeah, this is big for Clutch Gaming. They also have the inside track onto the Mountain Drake since Reckless and Hilly are just up top lane against a solo Lucian. Even though Vulcan has been a little bit over squished, just his presence elsewhere on the map is allowing Clutch to take so many of these advantages, and it doesn't feel like, at least at this moment, the Garen Yuumi has been able to have an impact.
Vulcan looking for more of those fast slaps, but only gets himself part of the binding, will not land it onto the wall, and that means Broxa walks away. But now, second Drake is alive. Fnatic got the first, but Clutch will take the second uncontested. Reckless and Hylissang top side still, trying to shove this minion wave up. Cody Sun will continue just farming underneath the turret as well as he can. Nemesis hanging around mid, but won't find a lot. Cody's got to be very respectful of the dive power of this Fnatic bot lane duo.
Speaking of dives, you can see that the Shen, this time respecting the potential on the bot side. Clutch have secured so many plates this game, and Broxa now making his way up towards top, trying to zone the duo away from the town.
It's going to be 12 plates when if Huni kills this turret, and also first turret of the game.
The thing you have to remember here is it's very tempting to try to dive Lucian Bard because they're both really squishy. They're both easy to kill, but if Bard can find the bindings, if he gets the Tempered Fate correct as well, he's an incredible anti-dive champion. Huni coming in from the side here towards Nemesis. Won't be able to find anything before the Shroud comes down and gets the Fnatic mid laner away. But now, mid lane tier 1 dropping, and 14 minutes into this game, Clutch Gaming have these outer turrets almost completely gone.
Really well done the way they've rotated the Tristana all over the map to get as many plates as possible. Huni's going to be able to get a massive recall off with about 2,000 gold, complete Berserker Greaves likely, and then see where he goes from there. But really, well played around the top lane.
Yep.
Good Rift Herald pressure, able to punish Fnatic for going for the Ocean Drake. Everything early is going Clutch Gaming's way, and I think something that'll aside is once Hilly can get to that Luden's Echo on Yuumi. How well can he poke with this pick that previously had 80% slow and always led to kills, now may not do that.
And having a strong early game against the early powerhouse that is Fnatic, a team that can run you over in the first minutes of the game, is so important. When Fnatic has a lead at 15 minutes into the game, their record is 20 wins and 2 losses. Clutch have put them in the spot to escape those dire straits right now, but we'll see how they're able to carry that into the mid game. Broxa found out here in this top side tri-brush as Cody Sun and Demonte walk back away.
So I'm curious as to what you think of the scaling for both these teams, Jat, because
So hard to say.
Yeah, it's such a because when I look at the dive power of Fnatic and I think of things like an Akali in the late game and its ability to just insta-kill a lot of these squishy members, I think, yeah, okay. And, Hylissang getting caught out here.
Fade onto Hilly, CC coming through, and that cat is out of there. Colpita, he's done.
Reckless gonna go down next. The damage is too much. A double kill for Lyra.
Well, we don't need to talk about the late game because Clutch Gaming are just dismantling Fnatic in the early. They are snowballing the lead that they built up, and their siege with the double AD carry is coming out fantastically. They've now accelerated their gold lead to over 4K, and Fnatic are running out of options.
Cody's son in some trouble. Walked too far away from that turret, and Fnatic can punish and find something in return.
What we just saw there out of Nemesis and Bwipo was, I think, what Fnatic was hoping this game would be like. It would be Garen Yuumi teleporting around, Akali, Shen, all these side lane pushes, but Clutch has just outplayed them in most situations. They've played a fairly standard lane game. Lyra, who is, to me, just this massively inconsistent player, is having a great Elise game up against Brox's Lee Sin. To see him sitting at 0-1-0 and Lyra's Elise at 4-0-3 plus all of the early turrets. Again, it goes back to this conversation of scaling, Vedius, where I really don't know what to make of the Garen Yuumi scaling amongst this, but this was just a great pick by Vulcan.
Yeah, it certainly was. Hylissang just trying to drop some vision down, and he gets caught out by the Bard. It's one of the big advantages that Bard can have against this champion. If you catch him out of position, your ability to land that binding is very easy because of the lack of summoner spells that the Yuumi will typically run. And with the Tristana, they're able to quickly secure these towers, especially with the Demolish proc as well. And I think it goes back to what you were saying, Jet. Something that Broxah has been criticized for is that his early game pathing and where he is on the map, I feel often gets punished. And I think that Lyra, you can criticize Lyra a lot, but what you can say is that he likes to go top lane. He does a great job at making a lot of those top lane plays work, and I feel like this game he was in the right place when the team needed him, and now both teams grouping up, poised for a potential fight.
Yeah, where do we go from here? Because Clutch will want to try and find initiations onto this very grouped up Fnatic, and if they can just burst out Reckless, that's a flash.
Reckless takes a lot of damage, keeps himself alive though. Nice tempered fade coming in, making sure Fnatic are not able to mount the counterattack. Down now onto Lyra. Bwipo going to be soaking some damage from Huni there, who's also going to be taken very low. And Broxah, he's got the shutdown.
And so much of that was actually off Luden's Echo poke from the Yuumi, just kind of snuck it in there onto Huni, and now Fnatic is just going to try and stick around, use the heals from Yuumi, bounce in and out, and this is when the Garen Yuumi actually comes online. It's in the mid game. It's not about the early game. You're going to get pushed in. It's how do they capitalize on this, working now from a pretty large deficit.
And this is the thing for Clutch Gaming. They've had many leads throughout the split, and we even think back to play-ins where they had instrumental leads, but then they couldn't hold on to them, and once they entered the mid game, they made these small mistakes, which ended up getting punished. And they can't afford to make these small slip-ups. They can't afford to give Fnatic an avenue back into the game because Fnatic is the kind of team that will take it back from them.
And that's why I brought up the front line issue earlier. When you have no one on your squad who's that big meatball that can walk in and soak a few hits, it becomes that much harder and that much more punishing if you do make a couple of those minor errors. Vulcan on the prowl, moving through the river here, clearing out some of the wards. Mountain Drake is live. Clutch Gaming know that they still have about a 2,500 gold lead in this game. Huni must respect Reckless and Hylissang, though. Keeping himself decent enough health there, as Clutch Gaming have taken over the bottom side river, looking to secure the Mountain Drake for themselves. Vulcan wants to get the binding. So well done.
Shen.
But the follow-up damage isn't there, and it just baits Huni into a death. Fnatic have found the opportunity to strike. Nemesis will look for even more. Lyra's trying to get himself away, but Cody's son brings out the culling. Nemesis having to dash right back, as the Cocoon will barely miss Broxah.
And lost in the chaos was Demonte's kill onto Hilly with the shockwave. So after all that, it is 1-for-1. And seeing this opportunistic play by Huni, you can see where his head's at. He wants to burst people out, but the shielding from Fnatic is so huge. So the Shen ult plus the Yuumi basically makes Broxah invulnerable and catches Huni for trying to engage. Boom, there's the shockwave though.
And you see how squishy Yuumi is. Just as she tries to jump off of one target to jump onto another, Demonte's able to find that big shockwave to find that shutdown. And that was clutch because if Yuumi ended up surviving there, Fnatic probably could have continued the chase. Those slows, while nerfed, still very prevalent and very obnoxious to deal with. So finding that pick helps neutralize, and CG ultimately still walk away with the Mountain Drake.
Still a 2,500 gold gain. Still very close fights between these squads. Clutch Gaming with that lead. 4-0-3, especially for Lyra, has been a part of 7 out of 9 of these kills overall. Still no deaths on him. Zhonya's Hourglass completed on the Elise, along with the Repel, makes it very hard to actually kill this guy. Vulcan gonna take some damage there from Nemesis. as Clutch Gaming will again look to make some kind of a move. The Yuumi is going to get stasis up, but she's on top of the Garen, and Broxa again finds the counterattack. Fnatic are looking clean.
These Bard engages are just backfiring on Clutch over and over again. The Yuumi ultimate is basically the perfect counter engage for what Clutch is trying to do.
I hate to say it, gents, but CG, while having a fantastic early game, as we've entered the mid game, it feels like they're just grouping up mid and trying to force fights. And you can't do that against a team like Fnatic, because especially when you have Garen who can soak up a lot of damage, but also all these globals, the teleports, the ultimate on the Shen, the ability for Fnatic to collapse and find these flanks is very prevalent. So CG, if they keep just trying to run it down mid, they're going to keep conceding this goal difference, and Fnatic will be able to claw their way back in.
And the map pressure is all in the favor of Fnatic right now. Now they have tempo in both the top and the bottom lane, and they're looking to dive to Monte.
Monte trying to keep himself alive in this one for a little bit. Finds a shockwave onto a couple of people. Whippo taken down to half HP. DeMonte's still alive for now, but he's not long for this world. Shut down for Broxa.
A big pick there for Fnatic as they look to take control over the top side of the map. Clutch looked so good, and now they're actually trading on the bot side. I like this from Huni. While his teleport is not up, at the very least, Clutch will be able to get a little bit more control back on the map.
Can I just say this is a very strange game?
Yeah, it's super weird.
Just some things I like. I like the Blade of the Ruined King choices by Clutch because it can invalidate some of the Yuumi poke. When the Yuumi poke lands on someone like Lyra, that's when it's going to stick. Also, as you mentioned, I don't like how Clutch Gaming is just over-forcing on these Bard engages when shields can clearly arrive. More so, I would want to see Clutch trying to work around objectives, and then I think the reason they're not doing that is because Fnatic has the pressure of Shen or Yuumi, and the fact that so many, they have triple teleport, they have Yuumi, they have Shen. Like, the number of people that can arrive in sidelines is so high that it feels to me like Clutch is scared off of trying to do these split push things, even though that's what they want to do with the Trist. So it's making this game just feel very strange, and beyond all that, Fnatic is winning right now, I feel like, because they've taken that 3,500 gold deficit, brought it to 800, and maintained map control.
And I feel like what we're not seeing from Clutch is a lot of vision setup. Notice how in the bottom or in the enemy jungle, there's no control in favor of Clutch. They've set up a lot of defensive vision in their half of the map to try and keep their half of the map safe, but even though they had a massive gold lead, they weren't setting up for anything. They weren't playing towards anything. They keep looking for plays like this.
But you only got Reckless. This doesn't lead to anything in any world. Reckless gets himself away. Cody's son takes as much damage as anyone. Yumi's going to heal that Garen right back up.
And something that I kind of find ridiculous is Yuumi can cast R while the ally is in stasis. So it doesn't matter that they catch the person, because they can just throw out a route that stops you from being able to capitalize on it.
And while all this has been happening, Whippo, looking like he could be in some danger. While all this has been happening, Nemesis has been sitting in a side lane. He now has a level advantage over DeMonte. His items are good to go, and now he's looking for a flank.
Coming in to see if they can find this pincer attack onto Clutch Gaming. Vulcan wants to get away through the wall. Whippo's going to be in some trouble. It's actually Clutch Gaming who have to be on the lookout. Whippo's on a killing spree. Reckless just soaking up so much of this damage. Cody's son will finally take him down. Can Clutch Gaming do anything else with that kill? Lyra on the side trying to find the cocoon. Has to get himself away now. Cody's son's going to be rooted up. And Fnatic have got the fight.
And the crowd erupts as the hometown heroes of Fnatic finally find themselves their first successful fight of the game. 4-for-1 goes in their favor. And it looks like that they're not going to be able to convert it into a Baron, but they will finally take down that mid-tier 1.
Fnatic really doesn't have good Baron take. It's one of the worst Baron teams I think I can imagine. But what they do have is these incredibly scrappy team fight abilities, and so much of it is just around this Yuumi. Like, the true power of how much AP is on Hilly between this. There's so many doubts. I think I even have them at the very start of this game, is why is Fnatic just going for this pick over and over again? But if we watch this fight, he slows down Huni, he gets him to half health. He speeds up Broxa, allowing this flank to come through. They're basically taking Huni out of every single fight before he can do damage. Even if he gets his R off, he's dead. And then the extended fight, it's just Yuumi being underestimated over and over again. Like, yes, Cody's son is able to get a kill, but then it's still a 4v3, and with all the CDR he's able to build with the Ludens Echo Yuumi, which you're just not used to seeing, ults back up again, Clutch Gaming fall.
And this is the thing. We talked about the dive that Fnatic's comp does have, but against this squishy of a comp, it all comes back to what you were saying, Captain Flowers, which is there is no meatball on the side of Clutch Gaming. And right now, because of that, the meatballs of Fnatic are just rolling on top of Clutch Gaming, and there's very little that they can do about it.
A big old plate of spaghetti here for Clutch Gaming as they're trying to stabilize in the mid game, but Fnatic get more and more terrifying as the clock moves forward. It may be half past Tanner time. We'll see if they can find some sort of a play onto Reckless. The answer is no. Broxa has to retreat, but the rampage goes over to Bwipo, who gets the kill onto Vulcan. Clutch Gaming are 4v5, and Fnatic are not afraid. Cody's son down to 1/4 HP, and the siege of mid lane continues.
Uni trying to clear that wave away, and Fnatic, just like a wall of beef, walks towards Clutch in these fights, and Clutch can't help but just retreat, even though they theoretically have threat with their 2 marksmen, but they haven't hit the triple, the high crit item spikes. Huni would need 2 more Zeal items. We need Cody's son to get 2 more items. I feel like even though the Garen Yuumi has the mid-game power spike, eventually it can go over to Clutch. It's just Fnatic has taken this from, what, a 4,000 gold deficit to a 1,500 gold lead.
I guess I just think of, whenever you think of AD carries, especially in the late game, they take time to get the damage off, right?
Yeah.
And
oh, this could be a big pick. Broxa flashes away and then ward hops over the wall to stay alive. Lots of damage, but not enough.
So that was a bit of a mistake there from Broxa. He thought he was safe because he had push in mid and top, but he had no other support with him, so he ends up getting punished. But yeah, I think one of the biggest issues of Clutch Gaming is that just because of the sheer dive from Fnatic, and we get to see it here, one of the great things about Fnatic's comp is they are more than happy to just group up as a 5 and run at you. And because of the amount of mobility that things like Lee Sin and Nakali has, you can just see how they're just biding their time, waiting for you to slightly overstep, and then they constantly look to threaten the backline and split up this CG comp.
Uni also consistently rocket jumping into fights, which then makes it unsafe for him to actually get auto attacks off. They need to find ways to get him into fights without expending rocket jump. But yeah, looking at some of the items that come through for Fnatic, the armor stacking on Shen and Garen is just so huge with no armor penetration for Clutch Gaming. It's making Fnatic extremely durable in these fights.
Fnatic just keeps building these advantages. Garen now with a dead man's plate. So fast, so easy to just run at these members of Clutch Gaming. Remember, he can use that W to make sure he reduces the incoming duration of CCs. It's so hard to keep this guy locked down. And by the way,
Yuumi,
in case anybody forgot what Yuumi is, that's what Yuumi is.
That's what carry Yuumi is. Oh, Huni's dead, and this could potentially lead to much more for Fnatic. They're going to try and stop this, though.
Secure it. Broxa drops to half HP. He finds a Sonic Wave down onto Lyra, but Huni is taken out. Lyra stays alive for now, goes up into the rappel, gets away to the Honey Fruit to stay alive. Broxa's still going to look to find more. Will not get that Sonic Wave on a Vulcan, just barely. Demonte walking down through the top side of the jungle here. Won't find the opportunity to make his way onto anyone else. Reckless continuing to just beat the car.
Yeah,
he's going to try and kill him.
He's just going to zone Clutch away because, look, Fnatic have started off the Baron. I believe they have been spotted out by this control ward. This is relatively slow because Fnatic don't have any AD carry, so they're going to be forced to disengage.
No kick on Broxa, but there is ult on Hilly still, and if they get an angle, they could try and wipe Clutch away from this. Bwipo's taking a lot of damage, though, because everyone else left the pit.
He's just soaking this up.
Someone's got to help him. Well, that was Bwipo, actually, who ended up tanking. With all this happening, the lead just continues to grow for Fnatic, though. Clutch this whole time is just starved from being able to get CS.
Yeah, and we talked about it earlier on, how Nemesis just spent a lot of the time while Clutch was grouping, sitting in a side lane. He now has a full level over Demonte. That's only going to get worse as the game progresses because he will continue to threaten on a side. And Clutch don't have anyone that can match this Akali, especially at level 16. He's likely going to be building a death cap next. And who do you send to deal with this Akali once you get to that point? And this is the style that Fnatic have traditionally played during the year, which is attacking the side lanes. When they group up, is traditionally as a result of the Garen Yuumi, But what you often see from them is Nemesis on one side lane, Bwipo in another, and then Hylissang roaming between the two, coordinating and finding attacks at these points. But of course, because the Garen is there, it often forces them to group up a little bit more. But it's still true in that these side lanes can't really be controlled by Clutch either.
No, Clutch Gaming's in a very difficult spot right now, almost waiting and hoping that Fnatic has another error like what we saw from Broxah, just moving a little bit too far forward, exposing yourself to the power of a pick, because when you don't have a meatball on the squad, that means everybody's doing damage. They have damage potential. It's just so hard when the Shen and the Yuumi and everyone else can work together to stop you from making those plays. Last elemental Drake of the game is alive here. Clutch Gaming will take care of this one, burst that down really easily. From here on out, we will be seeing Elders, and that could be a win condition for Clutch Gaming as well. They do have 4 elemental Drakes, but Huni just jumped over the wall into Bwipo, who doesn't have enough help nearby. He doesn't want to take the risk that someone else is there with Huni. Surely this man does not just jump over walls alone.
Surely not. So that's why it worked out for him, to be able to push him off there, even though it's a Thornmail Randuin Shen. I also feel like this is potentially a game where Clutch should build Last Whispers. It's just an item that no one builds anymore because we generally just don't see tanks in pro, but the efficiency of a Last Whisper for either Huni or Cody would be through the roof with the amount of armor that's on Bwipo right now.
Water Reminder might not be too bad either. Just
like
because
any healing reduction, like Morello's on the on anyone, that would be useful.
That's being contested by the side of Fnatic. Clutch Gaming not willing to give that one away. Damonte forced to use the flash here in the mid lane.
This cat is so scary. Who's, you know when you just look at a harmless cat just sitting on a book, no one ever thinks that's going to be scary. And then this Yuumi rocks
I don't think I've ever actually seen a cat sitting on a book in real life.
Okay, so traditionally most cats sit on...
Don't hang around enough cats.
Cats sit on everything. They sit on keyboards, they sit on you, they'll sit on anything that is comfortable.
They sit on me.
Well, right now...
That was bad. And you should feel bad.
That cat is sitting in mid lane while Fnatic is going after the Baron. A blue ward in the pit means that they are going to be aware of it on the side of Clutch. But are they going to do anything about it is the question. Can they do anything about it? Fnatic will have Reckless and Hylissang just waiting to run interference on this one. Nemesis and Broxah continuing to work on this as a duo, taking it down below half, but deciding not to overcommit. They don't want to risk a 50-50 throw.
So you can see how hard it is for Fnatic to both siege onto towers and secure the ban. They really need a pick or a fight in order to win, which is why controlling the top side of the jungle is really important. But this ward coming out from Clutch just behind the Baron pit is so valuable to them because it still gives them information on what Fnatic is up to.
Fnatic on the side, Reckless ready to go in here, trying to make some kind of a play. Vulcan gets silenced, but he gets into the portal in time to escape the incoming damage. Nice stun on the wall there on Reckless. Cody's son wants to escape. Temper Fate finds its way onto Broxah to make sure he's not able to chase after Cody as well, but the flash still has to be used. Ignite committed there by Hylissang. So it's one summoner for one summoner, but you'd say the flash is almost always going to be more valuable.
And Fnatic is just continually running these plays through the Baron pit towards mid lane in hopes of catching someone out of position, burning a flash, and eventually getting a kill, because then they'd be able to take their big advantage. Until then, they're just going to chip away. And I think for Clutch Gaming's perspective, they're kind of just hoping for the Elder Drake or for some type of Baron steal, because that's the way they could come back in this game. Huni's got enough gold, Cody's got enough gold that if they actually did get a 4 elemental Elder, they might be able to win this game.
Yeah, I think you're right. Naturally, the still and continuous scary point is the fact that Nemesis now level 17. He's sitting on a lot of gold. I think he actually has the most amount of gold in the game right now, and he has both Death Cap and Zhonya's completed. And while I agree that the Elder Drake is going to be the big point of contention for both these teams, I'm just very scared of how they're going to deal with this Nemesis.
Well, I think Nemesis has played great this game, and he is potentially the biggest team fight threat, even if he's only 1-0-7 this game, because so much of Reckless and Hilly zoning people around is you have to like push them into something. And if he pushes them into a fed Nemesis, that's when Fnatic converts. But Huni, there he goes again.
Reckless, he's not even phased by this. Nemesis in some trouble from Lyra off the side, but now Lyra's up into the rappel. He's going to be in some trouble once he lands back down. Stasis keeping him alive. Cody with some damage over the wall. Lyra's going to be kept alive. Now Bwipo into the middle of everybody. Now he's tanking up the damage. Vulcan finds some. Shut down for Damonte.
these fights, even though Fnatic has felt like they've had complete control of the game for 14 minutes, if one fight does go right for Clutch with double Mountain and 280 carries, they could do a lot of damage, so that one was close.
And I feel that a lot of praise has to go for Lyra in that fight just because he stalled Nemesis for an incredibly long time. That means that the dive buddies of Nemesis and Whippo weren't threatening the backline. They were trying to kill this Elise, who repelled, Zhonya'd, flashed over the wall, and then Whippo dives in, but there's no one to follow behind him. So if CG can find these extended fights, then there's a good chance that they can still come out on top.
Huni's rocket jump is probably going to be what decides this game. For the better or for the worse, based off the way he's playing. Already died 4 times, but he has so much gold and can do so much damage. Elder up in 6 seconds. Whippo has teleport, so we could see a 5v5.
Huni with a BF sword in inventory for the final item means no armor penetration still on this Tristana. You have to wonder
Whippo
how
wants to
well that's
flank.
going to work out. Clutch Gaming committing to this Elder Drake. They've got it down to about half HP, but they appear to have only leashed for Fnatic. Damonte gets himself away, but only for a moment. Nemesis going to be taken low now. Culling coming out from Cody's son. Nemesis at 200 HP. Both sides are away from the Elder, but Clutch Gaming has critical HP levels. Whippo looks to make the taunt happen onto Huni. Tempered Fate onto the Fnatic members in the pit. The kill onto Whippo.
Where's
Rockstar
Huni?
looking to find some moves onto Cody's son. He's taken low. Rex is still finding more damage on the CG lineup. Ladies and gentlemen, Fnatic with the team fight win.
It was Nemesis in the back line who did so much work for Fnatic here. Absolutely zeroing down Damonte, pushing Cody's son out of the fight, and then just the persistence of this Fnatic team comp wins in the fight and grants them the Elder.
And we've been talking so much about the dive buddies of Whippo and Nemesis. Typically, Nemesis goes in with the Shen ult, but because Whippo had the flank and they found Damonte, they both committed, they knew their target. By eliminating him, it made it a lot easier to then stick out for this extended fight, given that CG were so divided.
And Reckless and Hilly on that bot side. Just that 1Q takes Huni to 60%. So even though Huni gets a lot of damage down onto Whippo, it's not enough. And now they just go right from Elder to Baron.
As we hop out of the What's Your Move replay, it's Clutch Gaming trying to make this stop happen. They need to prevent Fnatic from getting both of the super buffs at once. But it's so much easier said than done. Nemesis going in. Damonte whiffs the ulti, and that is surely the game. A double kill for Whippo, and Fnatic will move towards the Clutch Gaming base.
The dive bros of Whippo and Nemesis find the kills. They're diving for more. Can they find these kills? Surely they're looking to end the game.
Lyra goes up into the repel, but he can't do anything except buy a couple of seconds. Fnatic, they've got the minions, they've got the Elder buff, and they've got the Nexus in their sights.
Only 2 alive for Clutch Gaming. Fnatic didn't look pretty early, but they just continued to grind down Clutch Gaming. 22 kills, they're going for more.
Reckless going for the flash initiation. Broxa gets another one on Devoken this time. The Nexus turrets are melting, and it was shaky early, but Fnatic show what Europe can do, and they find their first win here in the group stage.
A very important win for Fnatic to make sure they don't start this group 0-2. You can see from their reactions, they're not particularly thrilled with the way in which this happened, but all that matters, and we're going to keep saying this, is the victory.
A win's a win.
And